recording. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the behind-the-scenes recording of our 59th live show. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. I'm here with L-Man Jenny Feldy.
Hello.
And we have Fishy Sarcasms, Dominic the Finnish Man Sprano.
Yoi to pay, everyone. Yoi to pay.
And we have our special guest we're going to be talking to with and about, actress, filmmaker, Gerry Glennon.
Hi, everybody.
So this is going to be on our YouTube page being recorded right now. So without further ado, let us start the show.
The following is brought to you in part by MFC Studios. The views of the show's host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management, owners, or staff of this radio station. And now, it came from the radio.
Yapatoy, and welcome once again to It Came From the Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. With me via virtual distancing for our 59th live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library in East Meadow, Long Island, New York. We have none other than L-Man Jenny Feldy.
Good evening.
And we have Fishy Sarcasm, Dominic the Finnish Man Sprano.
As I say before, yoi to pay, everyone. Yoi to pay.
And we have our very special guest who we're going to be talking to with and about, which is awesome because she's here with us, which makes it so much easier. Actress and filmmaker Gerry Glennon.
Hi, everybody. Yeah. Welcome.
You know, if the guests weren't here with us and we talked to them and about them, wouldn't that just be gossip?
Yeah, it would be the gossip show. Completely different show.
Okay,
makes it more difficult.
Well, it's what we do every week with the news, right?
Yeah, so speaking of news, we have to take it away with the news. The news is brought to you in part by the fine folks of sci-fi.radio. That's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. As well as the fine folks of the Big Apple Con, in which we are the official radio show of celebrating 26 years of comic bookness and pop culture stuff. For more information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. Their next convention is scheduled for December 17th. This is the Big Apple Christmas Con. And currently tickets are on sale now. And right now the headliner is Jim Steranko. I want to give our shout outs for our Patreons, of which there are Danny Grilla, award-winning director Jared Burrell, Kyle Horn, Millie Portes, Newsday famous Dresden Media, Unjikun, Shadow Rabbit Art, Yasmin Ray, and Rosa. You want to get your own little shout out? Go to our website, www.camefromthereal.com, and for $1 a month, you can get a shout out on our show. Oh, I also want to mention that we have a question that was submitted through the website. So you get a special question if you put money for our Patreon. So Doug asks, do female superheroes have, quote, lady issues, unquote, like PMS and other things? So since thank you for the question there, Doug. So since we have two ladies, can you answer the question? Do lady superheroes have female superheroes have lady issues? That was the question. Jen, would you like to answer that question?
Like superheroes in the comic books?
Yeah, female superheroes in the comics and in pop culture entertainment, do they have lady issues?
All I can speak for is myself. I just went next door. You know, my family lives next door. So my stepbrother follows my stuff and he's following the Tara and the Tiger Babes movie I'm in. And I'm technically a superhero. I'm a human that turns into a tiger and I fight bad guys. It's very Josie and the Pussycat, Scooby-Doo. So I'm just going to speak for myself. We are a third of the way through filming, a quarter, and I don't know yet. I'll let you know in September how that goes.
All right. So Gerry, as a filmmaker, do you make the characters have lady issues?
Well, if it adds to the plot, yes. But if they have superheroes, I think they probably would choose not to have issues. So right. I'm going to say no.
Dominic, do you want to try to answer this question?
I can probably.
I think you would have a great answer. Actually.
I can speak to this in a realistic sense of the word. First of all,
as a comic book writer.
As a comic book writer, I write slice of life comics about myself. But anyway, first of all, we know for a fact that Black Widow does not, because she went through a hysterectomy, which was forced on her by the Red Room or whatever it was
Very true.
that they call it in Black Widow. So we know she does not, and that's the reason why they make you do it.
Wow.
So you don't have, if you're in the middle of assassinating someone, you don't get horrible cramps and just like decide not to want to get out of bed that day. Like the mission can always come first. Plus, there's the benefit of never being able to get pregnant, i.e., nothing can lure you away from your mission. You have nothing to love more than what you're doing. So we know she doesn't. As for other female superheroes, you can actually sort of look to Spider-Man as a way of thinking about this. Stan Lee always wanted to make it really real world, that he was worrying about real world things. And if, many times like he's fighting crime, but he's sick, he has vertigo. I remember that was one of the storylines. He would get sick, he'd have a cold, different things like that. So it goes to prove through that logic that female superheroes would have all the same issues as any normal woman would have and have to deal with it. Now, if there's anyone who could save the day and deal with feminine issues, that is female superheroes, and they probably wouldn't let it stop them to begin with.
Wow, you raised the bar.
I told you you'd have a good answer.
I'm going to lower the bar. I'm going to lower the bar.
Be like, no, they don't.
I'm going to say.
What about Sunburst?
There was a movie called Mystery Men, and it had a character who was a PMS Avenger, and she only fought for 4 days out of the month. That's my answer.
Well,
that's just wrong.
So let's start off with the sad.
I do have an ex that she was really only like normal 5 days out of the month.
No,
that's why she's
like just normal in terms of attitude. Like it was either she was ramping up or ramping down. 5 days out of the month, she was lovely.
So let's start off with the sad.
That's why she's an ex.
Sad news. First bit of sad news. Actor and director William Martin Glueger, Gluager, better known as Glueger, died recently from natural causes. While appearing in a slew of films and TV shows from over his 63-year career, such as The Killer, Sullivan Empire's Last Picture Show, Glass Horde, Call to Danger, Smile Jenny, You're Dead, Houston, We've Got a Problem, Kenny Rogers as the Gambler, Living Proof, The Hank Williams Story, Chattanooga Choo Choo, The Return of the Living Dead, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, Bridge Across Time, Summer Heat, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Teen Vamp, Uninvited, The Line of Duty, The Ambush in Waco, Piranha 3 Double D, I love that movie, Children of the Corn, Runaway, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Wagon Train, The Tall Man, and the Mackenzies of Paradise Rose, just to name a few. I, meaning Mark, most remember him as the bartender in the Feast film series, Part 2, Sloppy Seconds, and Part 3, The Happy Finish, which came out in the early 2000s. He was 93. Jenny, are you familiar with his work? You're a horror person, right?
No, I just act in horror movies. I don't really know that much about a lot of. I like happy films to watch. Okay. Yeah, I just like to shoot them. They're funny.
No, I'm not familiar with them either.
Dominic?
He's what we call on the show a that guy actor.
Yes.
Because I'm looking like particularly a that guy actor from the 80s and 90s. Because I see like he was in Kung Fu, The Legend Continues. I loved watching that show when I was a kid. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Walker, Texas Ranger. These are all shows I watched when I was younger. So I've definitely seen him, but I couldn't pick him out of a lineup if I had to.
All right, fair enough. So let's move on for some more sad news. Actor and director Roger Earl Mosley also died recently from injuries sustained from a car crash, which left him paralyzed from the shoulders down just 3 days prior. While appearing in such films and TV shows as The Max, Sweet Jesus, Preacher Man, Stay Hungry, Semi-Tough, Attica, Unlawful Entry, A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, I Know Why the Catesburg Sings, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Rude Awakening, and The New Magnum P.I., just to name a few, Roger was perhaps best known as T.C. Calvin in 158 episodes of the original Magnum P.I. series, which ran from CBS from 1980 to 1988. He was the pilot of the helicopter in this show.
Oh.
Were you familiar with Magnum P.I. there, Jerry?
Magnum P.I., yes. I used to watch it all the time. Loved it.
So he was the pilot of the show.
Right. Okay. So he'd been the opening credits.
Yes. That was him. Yeah. Dominic?
I currently have the theme song playing through my head now.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, I can see the helicopter flying. I have it going. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.
Should I ask if you were a fan of Magnum P.I., Jen?
Oh.
Okay, we'll just keep it moving.
I think from now on, you have to ask her.
Getting in car crashes, because I always think of this. You get in some accident, and then your life just so enjoy all the time where you're healthy, because you just never know what's going to happen.
That's true. So he was 83.
You need to start asking her what she has watched.
Sometimes
like,
she surprises me.
specifically.
Sometimes she surprises me. So
you
moving
know, I
on.
love certain things, so I watch them over and over, and then I don't get exposed to new things. You know,
There you go.
I'm
So
loyal.
for the last bit of sad news, actress and singer Dame Olivia Newton-John died recently of cancer. While appearing in numerous films and singing many award-winning songs, Olivia is perhaps best known as the female lead, Sandy Olsen, in the feature film Grease, way back in 1978, which was originated in Broadway by friend of the show and amazingly talented singer in her own right, Carol Demas from the Magic Garden, who we're friends with. Of note, Olivia was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1992. It came back in 2013, and it came back again in 2017, and it had spread to her bones and progressed to stage 4. In 2019, Olivia became a dame, which is the female equivalent of being knighted by the Queen of England, joining the likes of Angelina Jolie, Joan Collins, Helen Mirren, Judi Dench, Elizabeth Taylor, Julie Andrews, and Angela Lansbury, just to name a few. She was 73. If you were born at a certain time, you know Grease.
Yeah.
I think you're the youngest, Jen. Were you also familiar with Grease?
Yeah, I was familiar. I definitely watched it a few times, and you know, she was great. Yeah, super sad. She was super great.
Yeah. What about you, Jerry? You're a fan of Olivia?
Oh yeah, I remember. I mean, when Grease came out, it was a huge thing. And where I live in Ireland, in Tipperary, there was a big cinema in another county in Limerick. And I remember one night, like a whole busload of us went, especially in to see Grease, and it was like the biggest thrill. And I mean, she was an icon and amazing, and the music and everything she stood for, and it was, and it's just so, you know, she's one of those people that you'll remember where you were when you heard she passed. You know, she has such a strong effect on everyone, and it's really, really sad. I just couldn't believe it when I read it yesterday. I saw it, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dominic, fan? Not a fan?
I mean, who didn't see Grease?
Yeah.
It's the word.
So she was 73. So jumping on what Jen said about car crashes, from the not dead yet news, so that's not sad news, it's not great news, but it's not dead yet news. Actress Anne Heche is in extremely critical condition following an accident after her car drove into a house and then burst into flames. Doctor says she has a significant pulmonary injury requiring mechanical ventilation and burns that require surgical intervention. She is in a coma and has not regained consciousness since shortly after the accident. Firefighter says 59 firefighters took 65 minutes to access, confine, and fully extinguish the stubborn flames within the heavily damaged structure and rescue one female adult found within the vehicle who has been taken to an area hospital by LAFD paramedics in critical condition. So hopefully she recovers and it won't be sad news, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. How did this happen?
Well, they are looking into it. They are testing the blood, so we'll find out in time to tell us. But this just happened, so let's wait and see. We'll just wait and see.
Yeah. Did you see the video of the car? Like
I have not.
Oh, it was you know, the way every house now has that camera, door camera. So it was captured, and you just see, I mean, she was going like a rocket down the street, and next thing you just hear it's again. Wow. And then they had her on the stretcher, like she was covered in burns. And I think this was on Extra last night, I saw it. And she's coming out there, you can see the stretcher, but they have her completely covered, and out of nowhere she sits up.
Oh.
And yeah, and it's like, but then I heard today, like, she is in a coma and critical, so it's
it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility, I'm reading up on this as we're talking about it, that she might have been drunk.
Yeah.
Like I said,
when they're testing the blood.
You have to wait till the results come in before anything happens.
Apparently she was going 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, and there was a picture taken where you see a bottle with a red cap, and they're assuming it was a vodka bottle, but
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's it for the sad and almost sad news. Let's go on to the regular news. From the "It's so crazy, it must be true" follow-up department. According to Vermont State Police, actor Ezra Miller has been charged with felony burglary. Police says initial findings indicate that several bottles of alcohol were taken from within the residence while the homeowners were not present. As a result, of an investigation that included surveillance videos and statements, probable cause was found to charge Ezra Miller with the offense of felony burglary into an unoccupied dwelling. Police located Ezra, and a citation to appear in court was issued for September 26. Those of you not paying attention, Ezra has been in a lot of trouble recently, as multiple restraining orders have been put out against him, in addition to a slew of other things mentioned on our early episodes of our show. He got a big bag of money. Why does he need to steal some liquor?
Exactly.
Why is he doing any of these things that he's been?
Yeah, exactly. Why? And none of this is necessary. I can see like stealing from the grocery store. Someone got arrested. You have to feed your family. I get it, but this.
Yeah.
But they didn't even arrest him. They just gave him a citation. You got to show up to court on the 26th. Like, it's just so mind-boggling. And I keep on saying this. I hate to be a Warner Bros. Executive at this point in time, because I'm like, oh man, what else are we gonna do? Ugh.
And apparently they still can't find the mom
face.
and kids.
I'm looking at his face right now, and he kind of reminds me of someone who I feel like is going to get arrested soon. I was just talking about some crazy person.
Well, he has been arrested in the past for other things. So
yeah, but his face is like someone I know now who I think is going to get arrested soon.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's like the face, the energy is so similar to someone I know that I think is going down a bad path. So that's just my prediction for someone else. And when it happens, I'll spill the beans who it is.
Here's the question:
Right.
like, do they even know if he's still in Vermont at this point?
Well, the police of Vermont issued him the citation, so he must have been in Vermont when they issued it to him. And then
did they actually give it to him?
Well, I would think if you get issued a citation,
that's your problem. You assume things too much. You constantly.
You think they just put it on the door?
No.
They just put it on the door and left it for him, and then they went home.
Because look, why? If this was the case, why isn't he actually arrested and in handcuffs then?
Because maybe it wasn't that much money that was taken. The value of the liquor wasn't that much. I don't know. I just remember when I was working at Blockbuster, to actually be thrown in jail, you had to do a $4,000 worth of a theft. So if they stole one or two videotapes, they just got a citation, but they had still $4,000 worth of merchandise to get handcuffed and put in jail. That's what I remember. So it's so yeah. All right, so this is
on the show. I'm dying to talk to him. He seems like such a piece of work. I just want to mess with him, F with him so bad.
I wonder if he's got. I mean, look, he's obviously got mental issues, but I wonder if somehow he just went off his medication at some point, like if he's manic depressive or possessed. That could be it.
I just wrote a short film from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. on someone possessed by the devil, and this guy's it. This guy could play him. Holy crap.
So we're gonna move on because this bit of news item is really good, and it's gonna take me a few minutes to explain it.
I can't wait.
We're gonna use the rest of the time.
This is gonna be exciting.
From the Jen was pretty close department.
Oh.
In a previous episode of our show, our very own L-Man Jenny Feldy had mentioned how a comic grading scam of sorts could possibly happen with people putting covers of one comic book over a book and have it graded and being encased in a clear plastic container. Therefore, people not really being sure of what they were buying unless you open the sealed case. Turns out that during C2E2, Chicago's biggest convention, the comic book store Black Flag Comics, who at some time last year commissioned an exclusive retail variant by artist Clayton Crane for the Ultimate Fall issue number 4 facsimile that Marvel put out last year, reprinting the first appearance of Miles Morales from 2011. So they commissioned a new reprint with a different cover for their store only, all right? Now, from what I understand, a comic book store can get this happen by contacting Marvel or DC and ordering a minimum of 3,000 copies. They pay a wholesale price plus the cost, and they can sell it for their promotional purposes. So if it came from radio, want to make an exclusive Jenny Feldy cover of Spider-Man #1, we pay for the book, we make the cover, they'll make it for us, everybody's happy, all right? Now, what can't be done, which Marvel has already stated they did not authorize, is that the exclusive book cannot be altered in any way, shape, or form and resold as a new variant. Apparently, this is exactly what Black Flag Comics has done by taking an acetate cover and adding it to their original book and then getting it CGC graded with a grading as high as a perfect 10. and selling it as a con exclusive for initially $85. And then while people were waiting on the line to buy the book, raised it to $100 with a limit of 2. The issue here is that people are buying a CGC graded book that by all accounts, it is not an official variant cover and has been altered. And the original grade of the cover must have been damaged by having a new cover stapled onto it. Before Marvel announced that the book was unauthorized, CGC said, "We are aware of the situation and we are standing by our grading," only to follow up a day later after Marvel announced it with an explanation of our thought process behind the grading assessment. We treated them as we would with any other variant cover that has been attached with an extra set of staples that the book was printed. At the time, these books included the original cover as well. There was precedent for acetate covers being attached to printed books and then graded by CGC. An acetate variant cover that was attached with an extra set of staples to which CGC assigned a universal grade and a notation of acetate cover on the label. The extra set of staples were part of the manufacturing process of the attaching acetate cover and not considered a defect. CBCS, which is CGC's main competitor, says, if a book has an acetate cover attached to it with staples, it will receive based on the grade of the book if the acetate cover were removed. In this scenario, the book would probably be topping out around a 7.0 because the additional holes created in the book by the staples. The attached cover and the additional staples will be noted at the bottom of the label. This, of course, is only if the book was a manufactured variant, not an actual variant produced by the original publisher. So, in short, some guy ordered a variant cover. They went out and bought an acetate and put on an acetate over the cover themselves and said that this is the new variant. Put it in a CGC, got it graded, therefore legitimizing this variant as an official variant. But Marvel says it was not, and people are going crazy over the situation. So Jen, you're pretty darn close as something like this is going to happen.
Hey, I know schemers. I know a lot of them. I worked with a lot of them. I've been approached with a lot of them, and I know schemers.
So Dominic, as a comic book guy, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it's a really fancy way of saying they made a forgery.
Right.
They forged, basically, it's no different than forging art in a certain respect. It's actually
different because they're putting something on top of something that's pre-existing. So it's not even that they're faking it. They they slapped a different cover.
Yeah, well, people forge
book.
art like that. They take old canvases and repaint on top of them. The point being, they forged it, so they made a forgery. What it really does is makes the grading look stupid. They were like, this is your job.
But the grading guys is standing by it. That's the weird thing, because
they don't want to lose face. That's why.
But how can you stand by something that Marvel itself said
doesn't
this
exist?
Is not an official variant.
Because it's better to deny until you can't deny any further. Right. It's a huge problem within the art market. Some people have estimated that 50% of what's out there of like large art pieces are all forgeries, and no one wants to cop to it or admit it because it would destroy the entire market. And therefore this inflated market, which people are basically using art as currency to pay God knows what kind of debts, whether legitimate or illegal, i.e., drug debt, things like that. Of, I could pay you $40 million for like these kilos of cocaine, or here, have a Renoir. Right. So it's finally kind of coming into comics. Comics have gotten big enough now because of the movies and all the media attention that these things are now going to be traded as commodities and currency. So people are figuring out that they can forge it.
Gerry, you have any two thoughts on this?
No, I agree with Dominic. It's like forgery, and it's a shame it's happening, and it's able to happen. It's it's like everything else. You heard about Hamilton being staged. I forget where it is, but like they went and staged Hamilton, and now there's a whole big thing about that. That Manuel never gave permission for it to be staged, and there was some controversy. And
really?
It's just oh yeah, this was on the news again today, and it's just like people think they can just do this stuff, and it's
Wait,
it's frustrating.
Put it on?
I think it was a church somewhere.
Oh.
I'm not sure where it was, Jen, but
it was unauthorized.
Unauthorized, and I think they took liberties as well with the script. And yeah, it was brought to the attention of Lin-Manuel, and I think he has since made a statement on Twitter about it. But again, where do people get off doing that? You know,
well, I guess like Shakespeare, right? People put on Shakespeare. Is it like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's dead.
And it's public domain.
Yeah,
like,
like
public domain.
And they claimed they got permission. They claimed they were like, and he's like, no, you did not. No, you did not.
Wow,
that's
crazy. That's
Oh
crazy.
So
Jen, do you have any other scams that we should know about that's going to happen down the line?
Yeah, I mean, the comedy club is kind of a racket. I have nothing against comedy club owners, and we're always going to have
still
comedy
jokes all the
clubs.
time. That's been going on for years.
I would say a lot of comedians are scamming themselves if they haven't been hip to. This is really people scamming themselves or selling themselves short because they'll get so focused on getting in with certain comedy club people. But the truth is nowadays, especially in the last 2 years, it's you're really scamming yourself if you don't do your own media, because you can do your own shows, your own productions, and I guess the old systems. I think I'd say you're scamming yourself if you haven't gotten hip to the new paradigms of living, and the world is shifting very fast. So you're going to scam yourself if you don't get on board.
So my thought on this is, I think it's going to change how the industry works slightly if it does make enough waves. But the fact that there are people going out there crazy to buy this book, and then with the intent to resell it, was the whole problem in the first place. So if they didn't have that issue, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
That's where you got the 90s bubble that happened.
Boom, yeah.
The comic
home
boom
shopping
bubble.
network. Everything's worth being able to put your kids through college. That was what we were talking about.
That's why you have, and I don't know if we were talking about this recently. I remember having this conversation with someone recently about, the death of Superman.
Yep.
4 million of them sold. Everyone thought it was going to be worth something. It's like, it's not worth anything because there's 4 million of them. It's only going to be worth something if you buy 3,999,000 of them and destroy them, burn them all. Then you got something that's worth something. Rarity is what makes things worth it. So we're almost coming to that point again. I think people are financially freaking out so much that they're looking to buy weird assets without knowing what they're doing. I mean, they need to talk to Mark Carbar, from the Big Apple Mike, right? He can tell you, because that's his game.
Yeah,
but no, and in reality, don't ever buy a comic book thinking it's ever going to go up in value. Truth be told,
that's the collector's market.
It doesn't. Very few things ever go up in value. Don't think that comic books are going to be assets that you're going to be able to trade at some point. Buy them because you enjoy reading the stories, and that's it.
So with that, we're going to take our break, and we'll be right back with the Came From the Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Todd McFarlane of the record-setting Spawn comic series. And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation about creators, about entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go to It Came From the Radio. You're listening to the right spot.
This is Quentin Flynn, a popular voice actor known for Axel, Timon, and Raiden from the Metal Gear series. And you're listening to It Came From the Radio. Stick around.
Hey, I'm Mike Kingston, the writer and creator of Headlocked.
And I am WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. And guess what you're listening to? You're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Hi, this is Amy Jo Johnson, writer-director from the film The Space Between, and you're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Me Grimlock having fun on It Came From the Radio. Me Greg Berger also.
Now, back to our show.
And welcome back to Came From Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con, and our 59th live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, located in East Meadows, Long Island, New York, where they have tons and tons of free programming, both online, virtual, and as well as in person. I am here with none other than L-Man Jenny Feldy.
Good evening, everyone.
We have Dominic Definition Mascherano.
Hello. And
we have our special guest who we're going to be talking to with and about is filmmaker Gerry Glennon.
Hi, everybody.
So, Gerry, I've known you for a while. I'll say a couple of years.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, so at least 5.
Easily 5. Yeah. Yeah.
So you were a filmmaker and you had plenty of stories and you've done so much back then. What have you been doing since then to now? So tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, thank you, Jed. I did primarily a lot of theater, and I worked at did a lot of shows at Manhattan Repertory Theater, and Jen Piero, co-founder, is on with us right now, and she's also my business partner. We have a production company called Girlfriend Style Productions, and basically we did a lot of plays together, and then me and Jen got cast in a year-long production of a play, and we did it once a month for a weekend for a year, and proceeds went to the LGBT community, and it was an amazing play. And me and Jen obviously were very close, and we just came up with the idea of we can write our own stuff. So we had an idea for a film called Switch, and both me and Jen got together, wrote it, directed it, produced it, and we did it. And something we're very, very proud of. And it has been in the film circuits for a while, has won a few awards. And we have right now currently another script in the works called Opposites. So I'm also right now working on next week, I'm going to be shooting a film called The Graveyard Medium. And that is written and directed by Maria Filippone. And really excited about that one. Coming up next week, we're shooting that.
Cool.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to do it on your own? Because they always say, I want to make a movie. Well, go ahead and do it. And so is it as easy or is it as difficult as you think it is?
It's a juggling act, but I always say teamwork makes the dream work. So me and Jen have worked together. We worked together a year long. So we had a really strong bond straight away. So we knew each other's how we work together, separately. And then for our team, I worked with, my cameraman was Daniel O'Donnell, and Josh Groban I worked with them before on other productions. So I knew if I could get Dan and Josh on board, we had something special, and that's exactly what happened. Me and Jen location, we used Jen's apartment. You find a budget that works for you and you make it happen, and that's what we did. But it's exciting, and then to see the finished product, there's just nothing like it when you do. Like I said, I've been doing it for years, and I've been doing other people's work, and I was like, I have my own story to tell. I have, so that's where that came from. So it is work, but it's the best kind, and we love what we did. So,
Jen, you got a question?
Yeah, memorizing lines. I always like tips on memorizing lines, and I mean, this won't apply to everyone if you're not an actor, but I guess if you have to give any kind of speech, or even if you have to have a confrontation with a loved one, sometimes people rehearse that. Do you have any tips, or what do you do to memorize lines? I have my own systems that I kind of invented.
Well, I love to, like, when you get a script, and especially if it's one like this particular script that I'm working on next week, like I love this script, and there's like 5 characters, and I interact with 4 of them, and so I try to learn, just not learn it verbatim until I get to rehearse, and then when you hear the voices back, then it's easier to learn and to make it your own. But I need to hear it back, and sometimes I'll get, my son used to be my line reader, or, I'll record it and just hear it back. So it's just a matter of.
Oh, so when you record it, so this is what I do. I record all of my lines. Sometimes I record the other people, and I just listen to it like a song over and over, like a day or two. Do you do that? Do you listen to
it? Sometimes. Or what I do too is, what works more for me is I write out the scene. I get, especially when I'm doing theater, when I was doing shows in Manhattan Rep, and I'd be on the train. I live out in Belmore, about an hour's drive, and every time I've written my own stuff as well. So it's a little easier when it's my own stuff I'm memorizing, but without fail on the train, I will write out my lines.
Oh, interesting. So the
Yeah.
writing helps you.
The writing, yeah, and then it's
Very
here.
interesting.
So that helps me more than the recording, but both work. But I always, and if I didn't write it out, you know, it's like that's my thing to do. Yeah.
That's a great tip. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Dominic, you got a question?
Well, we know for a fact that you can make a movie for $50,000 because that's how Kevin Smith did Clerks on credit cards. But I can only assume that it's actually less expensive now to do an independent film, since almost everyone basically has a camera, like, and can film. Like, I don't advocate nor know anything to tell people to make your movie based off of your cell phone and filming it that way, but certainly it's gotten to a point where technology, you can buy inexpensive cameras or use your phone, and now you have drones that you could use. And I just saw this thing this morning scrolling through my Instagram of I don't know how much it costs, but like an inexpensive boom camera that you can use your own smartphone to make it pan and come in and come out. So I suppose, and I don't know if I have a question per se, as would you agree that now it's as easy it's ever going to get to make an independent film?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, but also besides all that,
that wasn't me. Who did that?
Besides all that, you need to trust the person behind the equipment. You could have the best equipment in the world or the cheapest, but if you don't have someone who knows what they're doing or is passionate about what they're doing, like when me and Jen did the switch, there was 4 of us on that team, and each and every one of us was as passionate as the other, behind, in front, off camera, on camera, and that's where the magic happens. So that's the key, is to surround yourself with a good team, with people who know what they're doing and love what they're doing, you know. So, but yeah, a lot of people, you're right, you can get a camera and just like,
you know, it doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Exactly.
In terms of the production of a movie, it's like, so as Mark had said, like, well, go make your own movie. People say just go. Well, now is a time where you could just make your own movie if you feel, and the best will rise to the top, and the worst will just be, you know, laugh at on YouTube. But I suppose, like, people have asked me over the years, how do you get into comics? And it's like, well, just start making a comic.
Right.
Like, you don't necessarily need to have like the greatest stuff to do it. We live in the most democratic form of, what's the word, exposure there is with the internet. It's free to have a YouTube channel. So if you want to make films, and I'm not saying, you know, like, but if you want to get in the door to make films, you have a phone, you have a piece of paper, you write out a script, you start filming to some degree. And then from there, you can hopefully be found and work your way up. My whole thing, I'd say, would be the hardest thing would be, as a producer, trying to find people to finance a movie now. That I'm really curious, like, how do you do that? How do you convince people to give you money to make something? I'm asking both for myself and for people I know.
Yeah, that's hard. We submitted into festivals, so we funded it ourselves, and we submitted it into festivals, and you network at festivals, and you're just hoping to meet the right person. But that is a hard one, and you have people that do the GoFundMe pages, or you know, for a credit on the credits. But with a short too, that's what it is. It's a short, and like I said, we just want to get it out there for more interest, you know. I did a McLean with another friend of mine, Mike Farraher. We did 2 short films, and McLean Avenue has been one of them, and it's a pilot, and we have 10 episodes ready to go. But like you said, it's getting the right person to want to do it with us and finance it. That is a hard thing.
Like, I currently feel I'm watching like an episode of Cribs, because I'm clearly seeing everything that's got that, like, Jen's place now, more than I've ever seen before.
Yeah, the lights are on. Sorry, my dog is here, so she keeps moving, and I want to stay near her.
I have not seen this much of your place ever in all the 59.
I don't think I have either.
How many shows have we done, Mark, via virtual distancing at this point? What, about 30? You would say 20, between 20 and 30.
Oh, you mean these types? I think this is 27th one virtual.
Right. Okay, yeah.
So in the 27 virtual live shows we've done, this is the most I feel like I've almost now been to Jen's place.
You can blame Feldy because she's injured and I haven't seen her and I really want to see her. So wherever she goes, I'm following the dog. I miss her so much. Yeah.
Is that a bike in the background? What is that?
What's that?
Is that a bike in the background?
Oh yeah, it's an elliptical. It's an elliptical that's stationary. It goes inside and outside. Awesome.
See, like I'm getting a virtual tour of her, like I'm always in the same location. You ain't gonna see much more than this than a drafting board, but wow.
If Ellie wasn't here, I would be in one place. But yeah, I got 1 hour to hang out with the dog and then she's gotta go. So I'm like soaking up every minute.
Jen, how old is the dog?
She's 9. She actually got stung by a bee, like Amber Heard said to her dog. And she tore her ACL, and she's just been limping. And like my parents have been crying and staying up late because when dogs die, a lot of times they cry and they go off to themselves, and she's been doing that. I'm just like I'm at work all day, so I rarely see her. So it's like whatever I can, I bring. Yeah. So that's why I'm walking around a lot. I know.
If you're on the radio, we'll have no idea.
Yeah, I was just about to
go
say,
to the YouTube page.
Yeah, this is why you got to watch the live show.
Right. There's a big white dog with me.
Yep. So you're missing it all, man. If you're just listening to the show.
That's right.
So Gerry, when you're directing yourself, are you more critical or less critical of your performance when you're acting against somebody?
I guess I'm a little bit more, and you're kind of like I do know what I want to get out, and I would trust like Dan, who was behind the camera. I would trust people around me too to say, yeah, that was good or that wasn't. But yeah, you are always more critical and like want to make sure it lands, make sure it works.
That is how does one direct themselves?
Yeah, well, like I said, we wrote this particular switch. We wrote ourselves, and so I knew this character extremely well, and I knew you do the background work and the backstory of your character. So I knew what I wanted to get across, and it was a 2-character piece in 2 locations. So there wasn't a lot of have to be here, there, and everywhere. So it was actually not easy, but it was a nice transition into directing myself. It worked, and Jen as well. Like we bounced off each other. So Jen would say, "Yeah, do this way," or I was, But because I knew this character so well, because I wrote her, I kind of knew exactly what I wanted to get across, and hopefully I did.
You gotta know what you want. That's the first thing. Some people don't have that.
Yeah. You have to know what your end goal is, what you want to get across, your backstory. I love the backstory that nobody will know, but it's internal, and therefore that will come out if it's if you have a backstory. But if you go in with nothing, you're like, you have to connect with who you're playing. There has to be a connection.
So you don't just show up and read the lines and that's it.
No.
No, you can show up and read the lines. It's just going to sound like, "Hello, how are you?"
Yeah.
Basically, just wooden.
Yeah. We have a question from the audience.
What is your inspiration for becoming a director? First of all, I'm not even the host of the show. Why am I reading that?
I didn't know that happened, but okay, sure.
Don't you have the chat open? This is your show. I just tag along.
The time and the camera and the news and the sound. That's what I have on my screen.
Yeah, Mark does enough. Yeah.
Wow, it's all on one screen.
So Dominic, actually, it's Mark's 1, 2, 3. There's 5 screens I have open right now.
Open. You still have one screen. It's literally the chat. It's right next to everyone else. It's over here. Just have it open.
So we have a question from the chat. Dominic, would you like to read the question from the chat?
I just did. What is your inspiration for becoming a director?
Oh, great question. Who sent that?
AH Harold 53. He's watching.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, I'm an actress first and foremost. Been acting for years, and I love telling stories. So I just wanted to get my story out. So that was it. If I didn't do it, I wanted it to get done. So again, I'm fully believe in do what you love and love what you do. And that's what I did. And that's what inspired me to direct it, was to get this story, this particular story out there. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about the differences of being a stage actress to being an actor in a film?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Well, on stage, it's live, and there's nothing quite like that, because when you go out on stage, and I've written a couple of my own stuff as well. I've written a couple of 2 one-woman shows. One I did in just gone by in November, and to be on that stage by myself and to draw people into my story is amazing. It's an amazing feeling. And you know instantly if you have them or not. And so I love that. And you get the feedback. Film, again, like you said, you stop and you start and you stop and you start and you're taking it from this angle, from that angle. So it's the editing of a film. That's where the magic happens too. And where you're like, okay, this worked. But on stage, you know instantly what's working and what's not, and the excitement of that is amazing. I love being on stage. I've been on stage for years. I love it.
Jen, you got a question?
If you weren't acting, directing, if film and plays didn't exist,
no.
Yeah, you have to pick.
Well, I also growing up all my life, I mean, and it's cliche, I knew I wanted to be an actress from a very early age, but I also love working with children. So my other job is I teach pre-K and nursery school. So that's right up there. I love working with children. So, but also that plays into acting too, because I'm always goofing around, storytelling stories. But yeah, that's it.
Do you make the kids work for free, cheap labor and get them to do crafts and stuff for your production background?
No.
Good idea, though.
Yeah, I mean they do it.
Child labor is not a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you saw I do what's called Storytime with Lucy, where I over the summer I ask some of my kids on Facebook if they want to read a story with me. I have a puppet, Lucy, and that has evolved into something very special, and that's up on my Facebook page. And again, I go to their house and they have a book that they want to read to me and Lucy, and we record it, and it's amazing. Mark, I think you saw one of them. I'm not sure if you did, but yep. I love doing that too. And down the line, I would love to incorporate, like I have it in my head for years to produce a children's TV show. And years ago, I sent my resume and headshot to Sesame Street, because that's my dream. I would love to work in Sesame Street. And they sent me back a postcard saying, right now we're not, except with that. And I'm like, at least they responded. But I would love to combine the two eventually as well. I really would.
Well, you know what? They're very big on promoting the vaccine. So if you get behind that, maybe they'll hire you.
Oh, okay.
Think about it.
But yeah. As far as I understand, they kind of pushed away a lot of the in-person actors in favor of the more puppet characters. So
yeah, I haven't, like, I watched Sesame Street. I grew up on Sesame Street years and years ago. My kids grew up on Sesame Street, so I haven't watched it in a long time. But like in the 80s, I wanted to be on Sesame Street so bad. But I have ideas to produce a children's TV show and be in.
So you want to be the next Sesame Street, right? You want to do your own thing.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. That's
what's so funny about that? I see Donnie laughing. That's what you want to do. You don't want to be. You want to be the next best thing.
Yeah, I would love to do something with that. But
the funny is that you want to be the next Sesame Street. There's been like 20 other things that have come out since Sesame Street. It's not that she's going to be the next Sesame Street. She's just would be the next great children's television show.
Like Blue's Clues or
like Blue's Clues.
There's a lot. But I mean, Sesame Street is
Wiggles or Teletubbies or any of these things that that have come.
Wait. She doesn't like one. Wait.
The Teletubbies. Sorry, no offense.
I'm not saying you got to be that, but they've all come after.
Yeah, but I mean, Sesame Street is the bar. So, what they have done and what they're continuing to do, and promoting so much awareness of so much. It's like
one could argue Reading Rainbow was the next Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Poppy Circle or Poppy Place instead of Sesame Street? Poppy Seed Place.
Yeah, why not?
Would you consider that as a teacher, you're a character?
What's that?
Would you consider yourself a character as being a teacher?
Maybe. I mean, I would love to do where the kids are the focus, you know, like the story time with Lucy. I would love to develop that even more.
No, but what I'm saying is that since you are a teacher right now, would you consider yourself as that being a character when you go to work?
No. I mean, it's no, I'm not a character. I am who I am when I walk into that classroom, but I do have a lot of fun, and I do get to play, which is, you know, what we do.
So as a writer, director, producer, actress, which part do you spend the most on?
Acting. I love acting. But lately, in the last, especially since the pandemic, I started to write a lot more. And again, the reason I started to write was so I had stuff for myself. I'm at that age where I want to do my own work. I want to do my own thing. I want to have something to go. And so throughout the pandemic, I was really frustrated because I was like, I need to be acting. So I wrote a lot of stuff, and I wrote a lot of poetry. But if you were to ask me what I would do first, would be to act. I love acting. I absolutely love it.
And do you need to know editing, or do you just have to hire an editor to get the film?
Yeah. Again, it's going back to know your team. I would not be, you know, I would have ideas, but I wouldn't trust myself. I would trust someone else to edit the piece, you know, because that's their expertise. That would not be mine.
So Jen, you're also a filmmaker in your own right, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So from one filmmaker to another, what is the one question you want to know more than anything?
The one question I want to know more than anything, I guess my question is more writing. I actually woke up at 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. for the first time ever. I just felt compelled to write a short film script based on crazy events in real life. But I guess this is more writing. So if you had a bunch of notes, do you have any systems or protocol that you use regularly to shift notes and ideas into the script?
No, I literally old-fashioned paper and pen, a copybook by my desk, whatever, by my bed. And same thing, you get ideas and it's like, go. But I'm old-fashioned with a paper and a pen, and then eventually put it on the computer. But again, write it out. I always say that if you have a thought, write it down, and it'll develop even more. It's like I said, for my poetry, something would hit me, a sentence, and I'm like, okay, and I get a pen and paper there and then, and I've written over 20 poems through the pandemic. I just had to get it out. So my thing is just write it out. But no, the system is pen and paper, old fashioned.
Pen and paper, okay.
Yeah.
I just had a friend that was doing pen and paper, and I'm phobic of losing things because I'm very risk averse. I'm like Ben Stiller and Long Key and Polly, no risk. And he's writing one of the characters based on me in it. And I said, you better hire me to play this character.
Right.
He lost his entire notebook. And I said, no. You see, man, this is why you can't carry your notebook around. You got to have a backup.
Yeah.
Because what if you lose your papers? Do you ever think about that?
Take a picture of the page.
That's what I told him. Every single page.
I mean, eventually I would put it on the computer, but the initial plot, the initial beginning, middle, and end is all paper and pen, you know. And
risky. She's a risk taker, people.
You know, but it works. And like I'd have a notebook in my bag, you know, just jot it down.
Until someone steals your notebook, like Esteban. Shout out Esteban.
No!
Oh, man. Oh, God. What a poor guy.
Oh, yeah.
So we are now at social media time. So where can people find out more about you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Gerry Glennon. I'm on Instagram, Gerry1226. I'm on Twitter, Gerry Glennon. So you'll find me in all of those.
Did you find that the explosion of the internet helps you to create and get your word out there? Or do you find...
Definitely, because you can promote, promote and self-promote as well. Like I just put it out there. So yeah, of course it helps. It's a big help to, you know, promote stuff. So
one of the things that go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so you seem like you're seasoned, and I've looked you up, and you're not like a green director actor, right? So you've been in the business.
I've been
37.
Yeah, I've been in there a long time.
All right, so now in the last few years, especially with the pandemic, everything's going online. Everyone and their mother is a photographer, a model, an actor, a director. Is there any pet peeves you have about seeing everyone's a filmmaker, everyone's an actor, model, photographer? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I always, and everybody, we're in this, everybody wants to be on film, and go for it, good for it. But when it comes to like the TikTok, all right, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, go for it. But when it comes to film and stage, I keep saying it, you cannot fake experience. You cannot fake, lesson. Like I studied at HB Studio with William Hickey, and to this day I thank Bill for giving me the wings to fly, and I have that. I carry that with me everywhere, so if you want to be an actress, and study your craft. It's again that, but study it. Like I've seen where a guy can do this, maybe you can, but people know you can't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying. It irks me when I see, either someone's overdoing it or underdoing it or faking it. You can't fake experience. So
I love it. It's so fun for me to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I like humor. I'm all about comedy. So whatever's wrong, it's right to me. It's hilarious.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
it's
we're
wrong,
almost out of time. We have about 3 minutes to go. So Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a final thought? Would you like to share that final thought with us?
Formulating that final thought. No, I don't. I don't really have a final thought other than you were lovely to talk to. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Jen, you have a final thought?
Final thought is just be the best you can be.
There you go.
All the fat. And there's no such thing as a neutral connection, because every connection is either going to drag you higher or lower. So no one's neutral. So don't let anyone just hang around and coast.
But wait a minute. What if you're evil? Does that mean be the best evil you can be?
You know what? If that's your goal, then I guess in your world, you're going to succeed. Yeah.
I just suddenly had like this thought of like Skeletor. Like, I don't want to be good. I want to be evil.
I see people. That's what I wrote my script about this morning. And some people are succeeding.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
So Gerry, you have a final thought?
My final thought is do what you love and love what you do, no matter what it is. And that's the key for me.
So my final thought is this. Actually, Gerry, you had an answer to a question that Jen asked that was probably one of the best interviews I've ever done, which was with Robert Culp. And he also said that there's a huge difference between actors nowadays and actors that you have to go through the craft. You have to learn. So, you don't just sit there. Are the instant stardoms, but he's like, you have to put in the work to get the results. Yeah. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Thank you.
So that about does it. Yes, Jen, go.
Alec Baldwin said something similar too, like about him and his brothers. Like his
we
brothers,
got a minute.
Well, why are you doing that play? He's like, because you got to learn how to do it. Yeah.
Jen, minute, go.
Ezra Miller, I can't stand your face, and it's no surprise to me that you're a criminal. And
that's what you want to waste a minute on.
And that's it. Yeah, I'm pulling him up, and I got his face. He looks like a criminal.
That's about does it. We wasted a minute. That about does it for this week on It Came From the Radio. Join us right here and every week on this radio station. If you miss any part of the show,
Ezra Miller's face makes me want a great cheese.
Go to our website, www.itcamefromtheradio. We'll have our next live show, which will be our 60th live show.
Yo, congratulations.
September the 14th with Long Island Comic Fest event organizer JP. Make sure you go to www.eastmeadow.info and register to be part of our live show. So we will see you next time.
You've been listening to It Came From the Radio with Mark Torres. The views of the show's hosts and guests did not necessarily reflect that of the management, owners, or staff of the station. We now return you to your earthly scheduled broadcast.